right, it gives me great pleasure at this time to introduce our president of Pearl River Community College, Dr. William Lewis, to come and share his comments.
Thank you, Ernie, and thanks to all of you for being here tonight. And I say that with all sincerity. Let me tell you why it's important that you're here tonight, and even maybe more so than in the past. There have been a lot of changes in the ability of our students to be able to get financial assistance to be able to go to college. Federal financial aid regulations have changed a great deal in the last 3 years. And this has led to a real tightening of the funds that are available to not only our students, but folks who are seeking a higher education all around the country. And this past year, I've had the good fortune, for the past 2 years rather, to be chairman of the President's Association, the Mississippi Association of Community and Junior Colleges. We commissioned a study 2 years ago. The Educational Policy Center at the University of Alabama, their director has done a number of statewide studies on the impact of the Pell Grants and the decline in the funds that are available through the Pell Grants to students around the country. And he's done this study in about 4 different states. We were the 5th state that he had conducted the study in. And what he found was that this past year, that about 3,000 community college students who would have qualified the year before for those grants would not have qualified. He almost hit it right on the mark statewide. This year he predicted over 7,000 community college students in our state would not qualify for that assistance. And so it has led to a decline in enrollment, not only at Pearl River Community College, but in colleges and universities all around the country. Community colleges have been more severely impacted than at the universities, but there still has been this impact all around the country. And so it becomes more and more important that we raise money for scholarships, and the scholarships become available for our students. We're doing our best at Pearl River Community College through our honors program, through our Phi Theta Kappa programs to attract some really outstanding students to our college. That has been a really successful venture for us at this point. But in order for us to grow and to attract those kinds of students, events like this become extremely important for us. So I want to say thank you for coming tonight, certainly coming to support our inductees, coming to support Pearl River Community College, but especially your financial support of our students is extremely important and gets more important day by day. That challenge is really great, folks, and we see some folks who come to us and are just begging for an opportunity that might make a difference in their life, might make a difference for them moving forward so that they can have the chance to become one of these recipients of our Lifetime Achievement Awards one day in the future. So thank you for what you do to help support our students. Every year when we start into the selection process for this Lifetime Achievement Award, it becomes a very difficult task, as you can imagine. And lots of folks that have come through Pearl River Community College, and lots of folks who have been very, very successful in life. And so we spend a lot of time, and the selections committee spends a lot of time in trying to make sure that we recognize some folks who have really achieved at the top levels, some who have achieved on a big stage, not just statewide, but nationally and internationally. And it's remarkable to us as we take a look at all of the possibilities and those individuals who are possible candidates to receive this award. Take a look at those folks and know that they came through Pearl River Community College. And the amazing thing to me has been that so many of these folks have said throughout their career that they give credit to Pearl River Community College for their success. So we want to congratulate our inductees tonight. We certainly admire what you have achieved, and we thank you for the recognition that you give to Pearl River Community College. Now, as Ernie well said a minute ago, we have some outstanding students here tonight. Our honor students are here. Some of that group are here. But there is one individual that I want to recognize tonight, and simply because he's been recognized within the last week for a very special national award. That's Mr. Trevor Creighton. Trevor is a student on our Forest County Center campus and has just been recognized with a Jack Kent Cook Award, which pays him $30,000 each year for the next 2 years to pursue his higher education. There were only 85 of those awards given throughout the entire nation. And Trevor, I want to stand up and let us recognize you. We're certainly proud of Trevor. We're proud of all of our students. This just happens to be a very special award. For those of you who don't know about the Jack Kent Cook Award, it's somewhat akin to, at community college level, it's somewhat akin to a Rhodes Scholarship or a Fulbright Scholarship, and very, very special honor. Trevor, we're very proud of you. But once again, let me say thank you to each one of you for being here tonight. Let me congratulate our inductees, and we certainly are very, very proud of what you've accomplished. We're going to hear your stories and hear from you in just a minute, but these are some very, very special people that we recognize tonight, and we want to say congratulations. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Rearwood, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving Pearl River Community College as Campus Vice President for our Poplarville campus and Hancock Center. I also have the great honor and pleasure that I introduce to you the 2014 class of inductees of the Pearl River Community College Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame. These individuals serve as examples of excellence within the Pearl River Community College family. With induction into this Hall of Fame, their lifetime accomplishments and achievements will become part of the steep history of Pearl River tradition. Their lives will be celebrated for generations to come, and their legacy will live forever at our beloved institution. Please feel free to follow the ceremony in the provided program. We'll begin tonight with our first inductee, Mr. Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett's legend as a singer, songwriter, and author grows each year through his sold-out concert tours, which attract legions of Parrothead fans around the world. Born in Pascagoula and reared in Mobile, Alabama, Buffett came to Pearl River in 1965 and 1966. He recalled his first memories of Pearl River in his book, A Pirate Looks at 50. Buffett writes of watching pretty girls cross the highway as he was traveling between Baton Rouge and Mobile. At the time, Buffett was contemplating joining the Army and heading to Vietnam. I waved and watched those girls cross the highway, onto a sidewalk, and disappear through a canopy of small magnolia trees that hung over a narrow asphalt road leading through a red brick doorway. Arched above the road were the words, Pearl River Junior College. They were etched in gold leaf on wrought iron. Next thing I knew, I was driving through the brick gate. I watched the girls walk down the path toward the center of a small campus. Moments later, I found myself parked in front of a sign that pointed to the administration building. Goodbye, Vietnam. Hello, Pearl River. During his time at Pearl River Junior College, Buffett lived with the Breland family, joined the French Club, and was part of a folk singing trio. He spent the weekends on the Gulf Coast or in New Orleans. After a year at Pearl River, Buffett enrolled and eventually graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi. Since those years, he has recorded more than 50 albums, most of which have gone gold, platinum, or multi-platinum. He is a fourth-generation sailor and fisherman, a pilot, a surfer, and a frequent traveler to remote and exotic places of the world. The lyrics to many of his songs are influenced by his travels all over the globe. He is a best-selling author and has received 2 Grammy nominations, numerous Country Music Association awards, and was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. Buffett has given back to Pearl River by taping an appearance for I'm a Wildcat commercial and providing tape narration for the Spirit of the River's marching band, Buffett at the River halftime show. Unfortunately, Mr. Buffett cannot be in attendance tonight as he is preparing for his concert tour, which begins in Tampa, Florida. I want to go on record saying that I offered to go visit with Mr. Buffett for a few days and hand deliver this. However, Dr. Lewis did not believe this to be a good idea. Jimmy graciously sent us an acceptance video, which we will watch momentarily.
Hello, Poplarville. What's going on up there? It's Jimmy here. I just wanted to take a minute and thank you very much for the Lifetime Achievement Award. It's an honor to think about the formative years that I spent up there on the border of Mississippi and Louisiana. My grades weren't as good as they probably should have been, but I did pick up this guitar. So a lot has happened in the meantime, and I just want you all to know that I'm very grateful for the time when nobody was around, and Pearl River was a part of my life, and from there everything else just kind of blossomed. Thank you again, and it's an honor, and I'll see you in Poplarville someday.
Accepting on behalf of Mr. Buffett is the Honorable James Howell Breland, a lifelong friend of Jimmy Buffett, Judge Breland.
My name is Brandon Edenfield with Pearl River Community College Honors Institute. I'm here today interviewing the Honorable James Howell Breland. He is accepting the Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame Award on behalf of Jimmy Buffett. Now, he was also a little bit older than you. Could you tell us about kind of how he came to Pearl River and his time that he was with you?
Sure, yeah. He was driving through, I understand, driving through Old Highway 11 in Solid Community College and had an interest in the college. Well, my family always had a room to rent to college students, and he happened to show up on my door.
Now, were there any particular interests that drew him to the college? Now, we did the halftime show based on his music this year, and one of the statements that he had, we did voiceovers, had that he had seen some pretty women. Do you know anything about those?
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons he decided to go to Pearl River Community College. Plus, you look at it, at 18. My mind really wasn't deciding on which direction I was going to take as far as what degree, and I think that was another starting point for Jimmy.
Now, as far as his career went, he lived with y'all, and you were able to see him more on a day-to-day basis. Do you think that coming to Pearl River helped him elevate his career?
Yeah, you look at the quality of the instruction here at Pearl River Community College, the number of doctors on staff and professors. I think that had a great deal in paving the way for which direction Jimmy was going to take. And journalism was his degree he's pursuing.
Now, on behalf of Jimmy, what do you think he would say as to the position of these community colleges here in Mississippi as far as helping students that are, say, graduating high school and are looking for a secondary education?
He would say it'd be a great starting point. Like I said, and when I was 18, there was a lot of indecision in my life, and I'm sure in a lot of young people's lives, which direction they're going to take or what degree they're going to pursue. And community college is really a bang for the buck. You get quality, one-on-one if needed, and you really can't beat it for a foundation for what direction you're going to take.
Now, during his time while he was here, I'm sure you have plenty of stories about his escapades that he's had on campus. Do you have any favorite memories of him?
Sure. You know, I was glad to get to know Jimmy and that he moved into our house. He had two guitars. One was a 6-string, and I couldn't even play a ukulele, much less a 6-string. Then he had a 12-string, and he was very accomplished guitarist and singer to me at that point in time. We had a swing out in the backyard, and on a warm afternoon, he'd go out in the backyard and sit in the swing, and he'd play his guitar and he'd sing. And it wasn't very long, all the girls in the neighborhood got to know Jimmy, and it crowd kept increasing. So I'd have friends call and say, "James Howell, let's go fishing." I said, "Man, you gotta be crazy. You need to look at my backyard." So it'd be all of South Shiver Street, all the girls in a semicircle listening to Jimmy Buffett. You know, Bruce Springsteen had a East Street Band. Mm-hmm. Well, Jimmy Buffett had the South Shiver Street Gang. So he had his first audience right there. And one of the songs he would play was "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" I think it's a Peter, Paul, and Mary, if I'm not mistaken. And later on in years, he wrote a song and produced it, and it sold quite well, which was called "Come Monday." Mm-hmm. And wording in the song is, "I got my hush puppies on." He always had his hush puppies, and I thought that was the neatest thing, him singing right there in the backyard. He was very talented.
Well, I do believe that these are all the questions I have for you today. Thank you for accepting this award for Jimmy.
I'm honored, and thank you.
I am honored to be here this evening to receive this Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of Jimmy Buffett, especially among such distinguished, accomplished inductees of the year 2014. Well, Dr. Bureau was right. Jimmy Buffett was driving Highway 26 and saw a few ladies on the campus of Pearl River Junior College. Jimmy decided that he was going to enroll and get a new start on his journey to a college degree. A friend of the Buffetts knew my family, and that occasionally we had a room for rent college students. So that was the summer of 1965 when I first met Jimmy Buffett. The second week of August, Jimmy moved in. Clothes, accessories, 2 guitars. One of the guitars was a 6-string, the other was a 12-string. I was amazed at the level of skill he possessed in playing either one. Very talented. Albeit, I have to admit that as a music critic, I had no recognition in the entertainment industry.
After all, I was only 15 years old. After classes were over for the afternoon, Jimmy would come home and go outside and sit in the swing in our backyard, playing his guitar and sing songs that were popular of the early 60s. It wasn't long that the neighbors heard music from the Breeland's backyard, all the female neighbors started showing up at my home. After a couple of days, all the girls that lived on South Sugar Street were now in my backyard. I'm really starting to like this guy from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Within less than 2 weeks, the word was out about this handsome college student playing and singing at my house, and yes, he had his hush puppies on. Picture this: Jimmy sitting in the swing, strumming on his 6 string, singing, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" And all the girls in the neighborhood sitting in a semicircle in front of Jimmy. Long before Bruce Springsteen had the E Street Band, Jimmy had the South Sugar Street fans. My family's backyard was starting to look like a mini Woodstock. I can assure you that there were no complaints from me, truly thankful that Jimmy was now a member of our household. Jimmy would have breakfast and dinner prepared by my mother every day. If he was home at lunchtime, he was fed that meal also. I have to share this with you, though no one knows about this. Holy Gotham City. His favorite TV show was Batman and Robin. The original series, by the way, which I'm sure some of us remember starting, Adam West and Burt Ward. Jimmy never missed an episode. I have to admit, I like this show as well. Our family car at the time was the 1964 Ford Galaxy. And if Jimmy had a date with a beautiful lady that evening, he got to use the car. No questions asked, period. Well, as fall progressed, Jimmy started perfecting his profession. He would leave on Friday afternoon, going to New Orleans, to perform at several venues, plying his trade. On other weekends, Jimmy would travel to the Gulf Coast, to several clubs. One of them was a place called the Vapors. I hear some of you out there right now saying, "Yeah, I remember the Vapors." Yeah, okay. In the spring of 1966, the last semester of college was over, and Jimmy left home and the Breeland family. That would not be the last time I saw Jimmy. The year, 1972. I was enrolled at college at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was in the cafeteria at the university, warming up a sandwich in the microwave. And I was looking at the post-it board. And on this board was a flyer about a concert at Stetson University in DeLand, Florida. You guessed it, Jimmy Buffett Live. There was no way I was going to miss that event. I got to see one of his first concerts. After the concert, he asked, "Did you drive all the way from Poppleville?" I told him, "Yeah." And then no. And where I was at in college and what I was majoring in, we had a good laugh. And he said he always wanted to learn to fly, and someday he would. And he did. Jimmy has owned a Stearman biplane, a Grumman Albatross, and currently owns and flies a Falcon 900 tri-jet. Well, in the 1970s, music-wise, things started on the uptick for Jimmy's music career. In 1973, his third album, A White Sport Coat and Pink Crustacean, took off. In 1974, the album, Living and Dying in Three-Quarter Time, with one of the songs written and recorded by singer-songwriter Jimmy Buffett, called Monday. Called Monday became the first top 40 hit single, reaching number 30 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the words in the third line of that song is, "I've got my hush puppies on." Friends, all I can say, if I were the CEO of Hush Puppies, I would be giving an endorsement to Jimmy Buffett. He has had those shoes on since 1965. By now, he began establishing his easygoing beach bum persona, for which he is well known. His music, coastal as well as tropical lyrical themes, and the instrumental sound was Caribbean. Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefers Band were selling out concert tickets measured in minutes. When you talk about the term branding, Jimmy was the innovator. In his early days of touring, there were T-shirts, hats, and many other memorabilia of that concert. Today, his king of branding is Margaritaville Cafe and Cheeseburger in Paradise restaurant chains, Margaritaville Records, as well as online Radio Margaritaville and the Margaritaville stores. In 2006, he launched a cooperative project with the Anheuser-Busch Brewing Company to produce his own beer under the Margaritaville brewing label called Land Shark. I could use a couple right now. I'm a little nervous, you know. In 2013, he launched Margaritaville Casino, 3 to date. Jimmy also wrote the soundtrack for and co-produced and played a role in the 2006 film Hoot, which focused on issues important to Jimmy, such as conservation, and yes, now Jimmy is a film and television star. Jimmy is an accomplished author as well, with 3 #1 sellers, such as Tales from Margaritaville and Where's Joe Merchant. Those spent over 7 months on the New York Times bestsellers list. His book, A Pirate Looks at 50, went to #1. You will see and read about my family and I mentioned in that book. If you don't have a copy, go out and buy it today. Jimmy also co-wrote 2 children's books with his eldest daughter. Jim's philanthropy contributions have involved many charity efforts, including Save the Manatee Club, the Singing for Change Foundation, grants to local charities in 3 main areas: children and family causes, environmental causes, and causes for disenfranchised groups. Jimmy has also raised money for hurricane relief by performing concerts at his own expense, and that the many residents like ourselves that live in a coastal area can appreciate his time and effort. In 2010, he raised money for the tragedy of the BP oil spill and disaster. Jimmy and I share 2 passions, the love of the ocean and the love of flying. An attorney friend of mine asked me the other day if I thought Jimmy would be retiring soon. My reply was, have you ever been to one of his concerts? He said, no. Why? Well, if you ever go to the one, you will know the answer. His question was, what do you mean by that? My reply was, every concert I have ever attended, there were people from 8 to 80, and they had their fins up, fins to the left, fins to the right. I'm a wildcat, and I'm also a parrot head. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Mr. Delos Hudson Burks. The late Delos Hudson Burks was proud of his humble beginnings, calling himself, quote, just a country boy. He graduated from Pearl River in 1946 and went on to serve with distinction in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II and in numerous public service positions before his death in 2008. PRJC enabled country boys like him to obtain an education in his own community, providing a step up to him and those like him to further their education at a 4-year college. This was said by his daughter, Marsha Burks McGehee. He always believed the school was responsible for his later accomplishments in service to his state and country. Burks came to Pearl River after graduating from Industrial High School in rural Pearl River County and worked on the college farm for 10 cents an hour. After graduation, he taught at the high school for several years before enlisting in the Army Air Corps. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant in May of 1942 and 2 days later married Melva Rester. He and his crew flew 35 combat missions in the Pacific Theater, saving the lives of 172 downed pilots during sea rescues. Burks was promoted to major and left active duty in 1945 to pursue his bachelor's degree at then Mississippi Southern College. He earned a law degree in 1954 while serving in the state legislature from 1952 to 1960 and was a national VFW press officer. He also served on the State Building Commission as Assistant Attorney General and on the Ethics Commission. Burks served in the Mississippi Air National Guard, retiring as a Major General. He and his late wife had 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and numerous grandchildren. According to his family, he would be so proud that he is being honored at PRCC, a school he dearly loved and appreciated. I can tell you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are just as honored to recognize the life of this outstanding and tremendous leader. Accepting on his behalf is his granddaughter, Senator Angela Burks Hill. Please help me welcome her to the stage. Senator Hill.
Hi, my name is David Fayola. I'm representing the Pearl River Community College Honors Institute. Today I'm here with Senator Angela Hill Burks, who's representing on behalf of the late Delos Burks, who is being inducted into the Pearl River Community College Lifetime Achievement Award. Miss Angela Hill, can you tell me a little bit about your grandfather's experience at Pearl River Community College?
Yes, after my grandfather graduated from Industrial High School, he attended Pearl River, what was called Pearl River Junior College then, from 1934 to 1936. And when he was attending Pearl River Junior College, he was able to work in the, on the school farm and earn 10 cents an hour to be able to help supplement his tuition. I was told by family members that this was a common practice of students to work on the farm to help supplement their tuition back then. And my grandfather finished at Pearl River Community College, and then he went to the Mississippi Teachers School, and he became a basketball coach and a math teacher. And his time at Pearl River afforded him to be able to become independent and self-sufficient, and that was the goal of folks back in that time, because my grandfather said the Depression really lasted, he felt like, until the beginning of the war. So he felt like it was a great opportunity to be able to do this so close to home.
Wow, that's really impressive. Could you tell me a little bit more about some of his achievements with his career afterwards of his college?
Yes, after he graduated from Pearl River College and got his teaching certificate and taught out at Industrial High School, when the war broke out, he enlisted as an aviation cadet. And he got a lot of training on navigation, and he was able to be such a gifted teacher that he was able to be an instructor of navigation for some of the missions, and to be able to actually get his officer's commission and be able to train a lot of the aviation cadets in navigation. He also was one who flew some rescue missions and was a navigator on a lot of rescue missions in the South Pacific. And then, after the war, he came back and taught a little bit, and then he kind of set his sights on going to Jackson and started law school and got elected to the Mississippi legislature, served 2 terms in the Mississippi House of Representatives, District 104, from 1952 to 1960. Continued in the Air Force Reserves, and then got in the Mississippi Air National Guard in the 60s. And he also got an appointment after his terms in the legislature to the Attorney General's office, and he was actually the first Deputy Attorney General that the state of Mississippi ever had, and there was special legislation created for that position, and he was the first person to hold that position. So then he rose to the ranks in the military. As he was working in Jackson, he became a Major General in the Air National Guard. He was pinned with the Mississippi Magnolia Cross, which I'm told is the highest military honor bestowed upon a Mississippian. He retired out of the Air National Guard and came back to Picayune and practiced law, and his greatest love was going back to what he did when he was a child. He was a cattle farmer, had a big cattle farm on Burgetown Road, and he raised White Park cattle. And he said that while he was serving in the legislature and practicing law, that the farm was his escape, and it was what saved his sanity. So he was quite an accomplished man, and one of the quotes that my grandfather used many, many times in things that I've read, he said, "I guess I did okay for just a country boy."
Well, that's very impressive. He's accomplished a lot. Great inspiration to a lot of us, I know that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great inspiration to me.
That's very impressive, very cool. Could you tell me what your grandfather would probably say as far as encouraging students to attend Pearl River Community College and junior colleges alike?
Well, he would tell you that that's the best opportunity for your money. My grandfather was a pretty frugal man, never tried to live beyond his means, and actually lived quite below his means in a lot of ways. And my grandfather would say that that's one of the best bargains around is a community college education. And he would tell you that there's probably a lot more folks out there with a 4-year degree hunting a job than there are with a 2-year degree, and that those with a 4-year degree have a lot of debt amassed that they're going to have to pay back. So he would encourage students to get that bargain at a community college, and get that beginning of a undergraduate degree or get that technical degree or get that career certificate so that they could enter the workforce. My grandfather's main goal was for young people to be able to be independent and self-supporting and to be able to contribute something to society. And he would certainly tell any high school senior that the community college is the best bargain around.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think that's all the questions I have to ask you today. Thank you so much for coming down and talk with us today. I really appreciate it.
Well, glad to be here. Thank you. Well, if my grandfather were here tonight, he would say, I guess I did all right for a country boy. I'm very honored to stand here and receive this award from my grandfather. All my life, he taught me that the education was the key to being successful and doing what you wanted to do in life. He tried to instill that in everybody around him and all of his grandchildren. He was happy whenever I graduated at the top of my class in Picayune High School. He was very happy about that. I think he probably told everybody in town 2 or 3 times. And when I graduated and got my teaching degree, he was really happy because he was a school teacher first before he did anything else. And then I taught school for a while, and when I decided that I wasn't going to teach school anymore, he was not too happy with me. Matter of fact, he was furious. But I think if he would see me in my current job, he probably wouldn't be so mad at me right now. Because, you know, he served in the Mississippi legislature for 2 terms back in the 50s. And his picture hangs on the 4th floor of the Capitol. And as I do my job and school kids come up to visit, and the Pearl River Community College kids, when they came up to visit last year, I had the honor of taking the honors students down and showing them his picture hanging on the wall on the 4th floor in the gallery section. And I basically told them that his story started at Pearl River. And it went from Pearl River to World War II, back to Mississippi, to law school, to the legislature, and then back home to practice law again. There's not too many folks do the things in their life that my grandfather was able to accomplish. Matter of fact, I don't know how he did it, because when I'm in the legislature, I'm thinking, how in the world did he try to go to law school, raise kids? You know, how did he do the things that he did? It was an accomplishment, a great accomplishment. My cousin Lisa, who is sitting at the table over here, she credits my grandfather for getting her through school and keeping her on the right track and encouraging her to go to law school. So he does have a granddaughter that got a law degree like him, has one that's a school teacher, and went to the legislature. So we don't carry on that Burks name, but I think he would say we did all right. That we listened to a lot of what he had to say, even though we didn't want him to know that we were really listening, you know, because we did butt heads a lot because we too were a whole lot like him. So when you're a lot like somebody, you don't always get along all the time. And I've had people in the legislature tell me, I know where you came from. So that's probably the biggest compliment that I can get. But my grandfather was very proud of his military service. He did not even tell us until he was ill about some of the things that happened to him when he was in the military. He just had not spoken of those things. But when he got ill and knew that the end was coming, he started opening up to us and telling us how many times the Lord saved his skin when he was in the military. And I think that's one reason why my grandfather, even in his law practice, always tried to help people whether they could pay or not. You know, he always wanted to help people that were less fortunate than him. And I know that he took many cases where he never got paid. And I had a speaking engagement in Slidell, Louisiana, a couple of months ago. And I had a lady that was in the audience that I'd never met before. And she saw the announcement in the Picayune Item about my grandfather, Delos, being put into the Hall of Fame. And she sent me a message on Facebook, and she said, when I saw you that night and I heard you speak, I thought,
"You have got to be kin to Mr. Delos." She said, "You reminded me of him." She said, "He helped me get a divorce, and he treated me so sweet and took care of me so much." And it was a compliment to me that she figured out that I was kin to him from speaking to a group of people in Slidell. So, you know, the genetics is pretty strong, I think, in that regard. But I so wish my grandfather was here because he was a people person. He loved getting together with people. He loved talking to people. That was probably his greatest joy in life, was sitting down. I know Ernie said that he was a regular 9 o'clock coffee drinker at Picayune Drug on Highway 11 down in the middle of Picayune. And quite frankly, Ernie probably spent more time with my grandfather than I have. So I know many of you knew him and knew of his reputation and knew of the things that he'd been able to accomplish, from school teacher to legislator to lawyer to general to cattle farmer. And, you know, when I was running for office, it sure didn't hurt to have that Burks name, because there are several people that came up to me and said, "Honey, I'm going to vote for you because I know your grandfather, and I know that you're going to do a good job because he did a good job for us." So, you know, people had not forgotten from 1952 to 1960 when my grandfather served in the legislature. So he did have a stellar reputation for public service. And if I can do a fraction of what he did and do my job diligently like he did, then I think he would be happy. So I so much appreciate the honor that you're giving my grandfather tonight. Lisa and I really appreciate it so much. And he did love this college. He was very proud of this college. And I'm a graduate of this college. So we know that this college can still prepare us to do whatever we want to do. Because quite frankly, I didn't have to really learn anything else when I left Pearl River. I was pretty much equipped to do anything that I've ever had to try to do. So we want to keep it that way, and we want to encourage students to strive to achieve and do the best that they can. And so Delos Burks, the country boy, would be a happy country boy tonight to be recognized by this foundation and this college, and to be forever archived in the Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mr. James R. Ginn. He is one of the many Pearl River alumni who credit Coach Dobie Holden and his assistants with much of their later success. Quote, "I received a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom from my coaches, Dobie Holden, Lewis Murray, and John Russell. People like Dr. Seal, Dr. White, I could just go on, he said. They taught me a great deal about life." Ginn, who graduated from Pearl River in 1959, played on one of Holden's state championship teams that also won a postseason bowl game. He went on to Delta State University and is a graduate of the Banking School of the South at LSU, along with the Robert Morris and Associates Senior Lending School in Columbus, Ohio. He also holds Credential Cooperative Director and Board Leadership certifications. Ginn joined Hancock Holding Company in 1962 and worked his way from the lowest man on the totem pole to Executive Vice President. He retired in July 2003. "The years at Pearl River were instrumental in my success," he said. "It served me well. It made a big difference in my life." He has served on the Bay St. Louis School Board, the PRCC Development Foundation Board, and the Hancock County Chamber of Commerce Board, and as president of the Hancock County Heart Association and the Bay St. Louis Jaycees. Ginn chaired the 2003 campaign to raise funds for Malone Chapel on the PRCC campus. He currently serves on the Hancock Bank's Mississippi Board of Directors and is chairman of the Coast Electric Power Association Board of Directors. He has also served in several positions, including associate pastor at Faith Assembly of God Church. He and his family currently attend Central Bible Church in Bay St. Louis. He and his wife Jacqueline live in Diamond Head, where they enjoy gardening, traveling in their RV, and spending time with their son James. They also have a daughter Deborah, 2 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, our third inductee of the night, Mr. James Ginn.
Hi, my name is Trevor Creighton. I'm from Hattiesburg Honors Institute at Pearl River Community College. I'm here today to interview James Ginn, who is being inducted into the Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame, class of 2014. So thank you, Mr. Ginn, for your time, first of all.
Thank you.
And I'd like to begin, if you could tell us a bit about your time here at Pearl River and how it was for you back then.
I had a fond memories of Pearl River Junior College there. Back then we called it junior college. You understand today y'all call it community college.
Yes.
But you know, the older you get, the more you embellish those memories as well. But you know, the things that impressed me the most as I look back and think about what happened during those days there. Wonderful professors there. But the memories and the friends that you make, they last a lifetime. I got friends that came from other schools in this district that I didn't know when I got here, but got to know them, and they're still friends today. And I can't tell you about the foundation that that Pearl River Junior College gave me as far as giving me an educational background to further my education. The thing that I guess that impressed me most about Pearl River Junior College was the discipline back then. I don't know if they have it today, but you know, back then you had 3 unexcused absentees there. And if you went over that and you didn't have an excuse, they started deducting from your final grade there. But just a lifetime of friends. Of course, that I would be lax if I didn't mention Dobie Holden. Dobie Holden was my football coach there.
Okay.
And played for Dobie 3 years. Matter of fact, that you say, well, how do you play for 3 years? I went to 1-year high school and played on the college team, and we won 3 hospitality bowls in a row. Dobie was my main mentor. And you know, Dobie taught me something after I left college. I was working at the Hancock Bank. We had just bought the Bank of Commerce here in Poplarville, Mississippi there. And the bank sent me up here to buy loans and oversee the running of the bank while we went through with the merger there. And Dobie happened to walk in that bank one day and saw me sitting up in there. And he walked in my office there, and you know, he said, James, he said, let me tell you something. He said, I never did worry much about winning or losing. He said that, and I'm thinking to myself, Dobie, as hard as you worked us, and you didn't worry about winning or losing. And he said, you know, he said, if I recruited the right guys and helped a boy reach his potential, he chuckled. He said, I won a lot more than I lost. And he got up and he left. Dobie was teaching me something right then that I would use throughout my career at the Hancock Bank there. I used that same formula as I climbed the ladder at Hancock Bank there. So I have wonderful, great memories of Pearl River Community College.
Good. And that brings us in nicely to the next question, which is if you could explain how your career progressed and your successes in it and what you think it is enabled you to be so successful.
My career at the Hancock Bank?
As a whole.
Oh, as a whole, okay. That, of course, I spent 42 years in Hancock Bank there, and 10 years on the board of directors of the Hancock Bank there after I retired. And let's just say that, you know, back when I came out of Delta State, didn't graduate, left because of circumstances. And I had a job offer with another bank, but wound up with the Hancock Bank there, and that I had a choice of either working for the Hancock Bank or going to work in New Orleans and working for International Harvester as a cost accountant there. Didn't want to live in New Orleans and didn't want to be a cost accountant. So I said, I'll give the bank a try. So went to the bank and was fortunate enough to get a job, and they hired me. And the only person that was below me when they hired me was the janitor. I tell people that if you know anything about banking, I got 2 promotions before I became a teller. But I worked my way up from the bottom of the bank there, all through the teller, all through proof, all through different operations of the bank there, and became and over 100 branches for Hancock Bank as the over the branches. And the final 2 years of my career, I worked as a chief credit officer at the Hancock Bank, becoming an executive vice president there. And I had a wonderful job. Hancock Bank's a wonderful organization there, but let's just say this, the things that I learned, the help that I received here from Pearl River Community College served me well, especially Dobie's advice in that office down in Poplarville, Mississippi.
And talking about advice, which will bring us to our last question, thinking about high school seniors who are entering either college or career, what advice would you have for them, and why do you think a community college might benefit them?
The answer that I'm going to give you is probably going to set you back just a little bit. But in my career, being over all the branches, I had a chance to mentor a lot of people. And frankly, what I wanted to be a football coach there. But rather than becoming a football coach, I became a coach of people. And had an opportunity to coach a lot of people at the Hancock Bank there. Matter of fact, tonight out in the audience there will probably be 4 people that I mentored there, but I mentored hundreds of them there. But the ones that here tonight there, that I think they will attest to what I'm fixing to say there. My advice to every young person that I ever mentored was this. I'd ask them this question, Trevor. I'd say, do you want to be successful in life? Well, what would most people say? Yeah,
yes.
We want to be successful in life. And I said, I can tell you how, but it's up to you to do it. They said, how? I said, go get your Bible and read Matthew 6:33. First seek ye the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other needs will be added unto you there. And I said, now my definition of success is this: peace of mind and contentment, and having all of your needs met according to his riches and his glory. Now that would be the piece of advice, because let's just say I found that true to my life, Trevor, when I was 31 years of age, and it turned my life around. Then, get a vision of what you want to do. I knew from a young boy that I wanted to be a coach. And I wanted to be a football coach. But I went into business because back then, you know, they didn't have these loans and all that kind of stuff and grants that they have today. And you either paid your way, or your parents paid your way there, or you had some sort of scholarship. And I was just an average football player, so I didn't think I'd have an opportunity to go any further than Pearl River. But frankly, I did. So I went into business there. And so I coached people on the job there. So have a vision. I can remember as a kid growing up in Bay St. Louis there, a local Dairy Queen across from our high school there, every fall or every summer, somebody would put a football schedule of Pearl River's football schedule for the coming year. And I'd read about community colleges called Itawamba, Sunflower, which is now Delta there, Hines. And then I began to read about some of those players that had gone through the community college and then senior college and now on into the pros. And I can name a bunch of them. Matter of fact, at Pearl River, I played with 4 guys that went to the pros there. So get a vision of what you want to do, you see, because if you have that vision and that you know what you want to do and you got a strong desire, then here's what the good book says, Trevor. If you'll delight yourself in the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart. So that my advice is this: seek the kingdom of God first. Hey, get a vision and learn to be content. Learn to be content, and the foundation that you will get, the educational benefits that you'll get from going to a community college, far outweighs of one that that I think you would get by going to a senior college. And the reason I say this, most kids coming out of high school, do they really know how to study? I didn't. And if I wouldn't have had some professors take a personal interest in me and give me some personal attention and hold my feet to the fire with the discipline that I needed there, I would probably not be sitting here today there. So yes, I am a fan of the community college and would recommend any student to come to a community college before going to a senior college there.
Well, Mr. Ginn, thank you very much for your time. We
Good.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Trevor.
And welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Good.
Lifetime
Hey,
achievement.
it's quite an honor, a privilege, and I'm humbled by it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What an unlucky guy I am to have to follow a presentation on from Delos Burks' granddaughter, and then Jimmy Buffett. What am I going to say? Let me just open by saying this. I consider myself one of the luckiest, most blessed men that ever lived. And my testimony is this, that if you'll seek the kingdom of God first and His righteousness, God will bless you with every need that you need in life. And He has done that for me there. Show you how lucky I am. Have a wonderful family. My wife, Jackie. Many of you have met Jackie. Our daughter, Deborah. Our son, little James. What a blessed man I am. But after looking at Jackie and looking at me, it should become very obvious to you and to anybody that has seen the two of us that I have much better taste than Jackie does. Is it really that funny? But yes, it is. Also that I have been blessed having worked for two great institutions. One being the Hancock Bank for 42 years. And Dr. Brerewood, you was exactly right. I got 2 promotions before I became a teller. That's pretty bad. But I was pretty bad too. But after spending 42 years there, that I was blessed to be able to climb the ladder which I call success. And success is a state of mind. First, or do you have a right relationship with your Lord Jesus Christ? At 31 years of age, He changed my life. And I got an old classmate out there, Beverly Ladner. She used to be Beverly Schindler. We started the school together. And Beverly can attest to that, can't you, Beverly? I was pretty bad. I felt like Paul. I was the chief of sinners. But anyway, 42 years Hancock Bank blessed, and then have been able to spend the last 10 years on their board of directors of the Mississippi Bank there. Very blessed. Had mentors in the bank like Leo Seal, Donald Suter, Bob Hamilton, and I can go on and on and on. Then then let me just say this. So blessed that I'm here tonight. Let's see, I can hardly see y'all. 3 of my mentees that I was privileged to work with and hopefully help develop are here tonight. Marion Pichu, Clay Wagner, and John Baxter there. And which hopefully that, hey, we have been able to add something to your life. Clay is Leo's nephew. Leo poured himself into me. He really did. And that very grateful and very thankful. But I'd say this, at that same table, I got friends like Frank Ladner. Now let me tell you what a good friend Frank Ladner is. If Frank calls you, my advice to you is hang up. He called me one day, hey, Duke. I don't know where he gets that word, Duke, but he calls me Duke. Duke, need some help. I said, what do you want? I said, we want to build a chapel up there at the community college. And we want you to kind of help us raise that money. And I said, Frank, what do you want me to do? He said, nothing to it. All you've got to do is make a video. I said, well, that's pretty easy. I can make a video, I think. Anyway, we met up at the community college, and I did the video, and we sent it all over God's creation. I don't believe we got the first dime from the video. But I was still the chairman. And we still had to raise the money. And so after about 3 years of working every week and that sort of stuff there, finally we hit the magic goal. And the chapel is built. And it's a beautiful chapel. Worked with Donna on that chapel there, getting that thing, and it was a wonderful time. But I asked Frank one day, I said, Frank, didn't you tell me 3 years ago all I had to do was to make a video? He said, yeah, I said that. He said, but it wasn't any good, Ginn. That's a friend. But as I mentioned, his wife Beverly and I, we started a school in Bay St. Louis a lot of years ago, and been great friends, and happened to have his son-in-law and his daughter came all the way from Baldwin County, that Ken and Karen Moore there, and this is a real honor for me to accept this award tonight. But what is so meaningful to me, and it's a humbling experience. I'm proud. It's a humbling experience because so many of you have joined us here to celebrate this time together. But then at this other table, I have the last 10 or 12 years of my life is Coast Electric. Coast Electric is a wonderful, wonderful organization. And with us tonight, we have 6 or 7 of our board of directors and their spouses. And I thank y'all so much for coming. Now, let me just mention one thing about Coach Holden. I never did think Coach Holden liked me too much. Donna, did you think the same thing at times? You played for him. You know, man, he could call you some names. And I can't mention too many of them. Thomas, I see you over there. It's good to see you, my friend. Huh? Now, he liked you. You were kind of a pet. Thomas was real smart, you know, a real intelligent guy. Matter of fact, he became a CEO of a big carpet company up there in Georgia somewhere. Has done real well for himself there. But, you know, Thomas was so smart. Dobies used to say, Thomas, you have to get your slide rule out to figure out how to block that guy. Let me just mention one thing about Thomas, and this is a true story. Had a broken arm. He played guard. In 5 or 6 games, they taped that on, took that cast off, as I recall, and taped it to his body, and he played there. That's the kind of guy Thomas Malone, and it's no wonder he was successful in life there. But let me tell you just a short story about Dobie Holden, Pearl River Community College, that laid a foundation for me to build on. And that was this. I was working at Hancock Bank. We had just bought the old Bank of Commerce in Poplarville. And Coach Holden had retired, walked into the bank, and I was up there working at that bank, buying loans and that sort of stuff for our bank, trying to oversee the change that was going to take place there. And Coach Holden walked into that office that I was sitting in, and he said, "You know, James," he said, "I never did worry about winning or losing." Now, do you think that sounds like Coach Holden? Thomas, do you think that sounds like Coach Holden? No. I guarantee you, the way he worked us, I thought he was worried about winning or losing. But he was still teaching me. He said, "You know, James, if I recruited the right kids, and I helped a boy reach his potential," he said, "I won more than I lost." That was his model. But he was giving me a model that lasts throughout my career. And that's one of the things that, hey, I tried to do, was to recruit the right people and help them reach their potential. And if they did, we came out all right. And I can say for those 3 individuals that I mentioned tonight are here representing the Hancock Bank there, they were good mentees. They listened. And matter of fact, one of them tonight just told me, said, "You know, I didn't realize at first what you were doing, but I want to just tell you thank you for all that you've done." And and I thank them. But I want to thank all of you for coming. It's been a privilege, an honor for me. It's a humbling experience. And did I mention my daughter, Deborah? All right. Did I mention my son-in-law, Doug? And by all means, Ashley, will you stand up? That's my granddaughter. Now, don't you think she looks like me? Thank you so much. Appreciate everything.
Mr. Francis Herrin. Money was tight when Francis Herrin graduated from Prentice High School, and he did not think college was in his future. But an aunt's generosity and a campus job raking leaves and doing other yard work made attending Pearl River possible. Quote, "Going there really made it for me, to tell you the truth. Now that I look back, I have to say that was some of the best days of my life. After I got settled in at Pearl River and got to know a lot of people, we had a lot of fun." Like many students, Herrin changed his major and spent 3 years at Pearl River, including 1 year driving the sports teams to games. Art instructor Arthur Higman helped Herrin get summer jobs for 2 years with Shell Oil in New Orleans, jobs that paid relatively good money and got his foot in the door. After graduating in 1958 from the civil engineering program, Herrin went to work for Shell Oil, where he found himself on a surveying crew with university graduates. "I was able to hold my own in the surveying department with other 4-year guys," he said. Herrin's career was interrupted by a 2-year stint in the Army while the company continued to pay him a half salary. He worked with Shell's Gulf of Mexico field office out of Jeanerette, Louisiana from 1962 to 1970, focusing on offshore operations. He relocated to the New Orleans office in 1970. Early in his career, his surveying work involved positioning rigs, platforms, and pipelines offshore in 100 feet of water. By the time he retired in 1998, The rigs were positioned in 9,000 feet of water. I had an excellent career with them, over 40 years. Herrin is an active member of the Pearl River Community College Alumni Association, is a past chairman of the Development Foundation Board, and a scholarship donor. Herrin and his late wife Joyce raised a daughter and a son. He now lives in Hattiesburg. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Francis Herrin.
Hi, my name is Carter Pittman from the Pearl River Community College Honors Institute, and I'm here interviewing Hall of Fame Class of 2014 inductee, Mr. Francis Herrin. Hello, Mr. Francis Herrin. How are you doing today? Thank you for your time here.
You're welcome.
What was your experience like here at Pearl River?
It was great. You know, we always say that hindsight's 20/20, and that's very, very true with me. I graduated from Prentice High School in 1955 and came down to Pearl River. I didn't really, it was kind of a last minute decision to come down. Going through high school, I really didn't have much intention of going to college. But one of my high school buddies that was already planning to come to PRC convinced me that I ought to come. So I came on down to Pearl River. And it was a little bit tough for me at first because I guess I was smart enough I didn't have to study much in high school to make an average grade. Mm-hmm. And so that was really all I was looking to do was make a passing grade and get by. So I get down to Pearl River, and that's a whole new ball game from high school.
Right.
So I tried it, and I had convinced myself that I just can't make it down here. So come Thanksgiving holidays, I packed my bag and everything, and I went home, and I didn't have any intentions of coming back. But when I got home, my aunt, I lived with my aunt a lot, and she was helping me financially to come down here. And she lived next door to the superintendent of education for Jeff Davis County. So when I got home and I told her that I was quitting, she went next door, talked to the superintendent of education, which was a good friend of all of ours. And when they got through with me that weekend, I came back to Pearl River on Monday morning. Mm-hmm. And I really began to buckle down and make things happen. I realized that I had to study to stay down here, so that kind of helped me to understand that, you know, and sometimes things are easy, but when you get into the college realm, it gets a little bit tougher, so you have to get tough with it. Mm-hmm. But I managed to stay, and I went on and graduated, even though I stayed here 3 years, and I laughed with people, tell them I was so dumb down here. It took me 3 years to get out of it, which is not necessarily true. But I was down, my first year down here, I just took pre-engineering. And during the summer, after my first year, Pearl River set up 5 new technology classes, of which one of them was civil engineering technology. And that's kind of the route that I intended to take from the start, was to become a civil engineer. But since they set these classes up in the civil engineering technology, I decided, well, heck, you know, that get me what I want to do, because I was interested in surveying. And so I went in this, my second year, I started the first year of that program, which caused me to have to stay the third year to get the classes that I needed to graduate. And so consequently, that's what happened to me. And I finally got through. I have to admit that I didn't make the honor roll, but after I learned how to study, well, I made average grades.
So good. After college and your career, how was your career, and what was something that helped you accomplish all the things that you were able to accomplish throughout it?
Well, as I said, I got into the civil engineering technology, which was survey-oriented. And we had a great guy. I'd call him part-time because he wasn't on the campus. He was a civil engineer for the Mississippi State Highway Department. And he agreed to teach the courses in surveying. And Mr. John Anderson out of Columbia, Mississippi. And so it turned out that he's a very good instructor in the area of survey. And so he taught, because in that civil engineering technology, we had to take a survey course each semester, so that meant 4 survey courses. And he taught all of them, and I attended all of them. And it really made the difference for me, because after I graduated from here in the civil engineering technology class, and went on to become a surveyor for Shell Oil Company in Louisiana. After I was there a while, I'm working with totally people that had 4 years. You know, they were graduate civil engineers. But after we had worked together for a while, we were just talking one day, come to find out that Pearl River had patterned their civil engineering course after the civil engineering class of Mississippi State. And they incorporated every survey course that a graduate civil engineer would take. So consequently, unbeknown to myself at the time, until we got to discussing it, come to find out I'd had every survey course that these guys I was working with that had a civil engineer degree. Mm-hmm. So, and since our work was totally directed toward survey, well, I was able to hold my ground with them because I had all the survey courses they had. Now, of course, if we'd have been going out to design and build a bridge or something like that, well, then they'd have lost me there. But as far as we kept it on the survey line, I could hold my ground with them, and it worked out real good for me because I went on and became the senior surveyor for Shell Oil Company in all the Gulf of Mexico and East Coast area.
Really nice. What advice would you give to high school seniors who are about to make that transition to college and to pursue their careers?
I think the best thing I could say to a high school senior today would be that you just cannot make a mistake by going to a community college to start off your educational career. Because I'm sure it's still today very much like it was when I was here. And as I mentioned earlier, that I called myself quitting. And had I not been able, when I came back after I had quit and come back over one weekend, if I couldn't have went to our professors and teachers here at Pearl River, I don't know that I would have ever been able to get back on track and really do what I was able to do, because we had so many wonderful people here, and they were caring people. They cared about the students, and I think that holds true to this day, because I do have a lot of interaction with the teachers and professors here on campus now, because I've served on the foundation board here for, I think, 22 years, something like that, which makes me be on the campus quite often, and I get to have interaction with a lot of the teachers, and just from talking with them, it makes me realize that they do actually care, because you hear occasionally people say, oh, they don't care about teaching, they're just there for the money, but I don't think that's true here at Pearl River. I think that we have some very, very dedicated teachers here at Pearl River, and it's just that I don't think you could do better, because when you look at the cost, because there's a lot of students out there that comes to the foundation looking for help, and any form of scholarship that we can provide for them. And if it wasn't for that little bit of help that we could give to them through the scholarship program, they probably couldn't come to Pearl River. And a lot of them is just like myself. They will need that little extra help that they can get here at Pearl River, that there's just no way that they would ever get it going to a senior college. And the community college also will prepare them to move on into the senior college, because it'll teach them how to study and how to do this and that, and they're able to transition into the senior college with a lot less problems than they would ordinarily have, in my opinion.
I agree. Well, I think that's all I have for you today. I'd like to thank you for your time with us during this interview.
You're quite welcome. Well, as y'all are going to find out, I'm not much of a speaker. So I'm going to tell you a few things. Dr. Brearwood told you just about everything that I could tell you, but I'm going to fill in just a little bit. First of all, I've wondered ever since I was told that I was receiving this honor, how in the world did they find me? And I was told we had a committee. Well, I said, well, who is the committee? They never would tell me. So I still don't know who got me here. But it is a very much of an honor to have been chosen for this. And I thank that committee from the bottom of my heart for seeing something in me that I guess didn't know I had. But it is a great privilege. And two, I see a lot of faces I don't know. I see a lot of faces I do know. I want to thank all of you, though, for coming out and joining with myself as well as the others on this great occasion. I'm blessed with having some of my family here. I came from a big family of 7 children. So as you see, not nearly all of them are here, but some of them are. I also have some high school classmates here, and I see some college classmates here. And I have a high school teacher here that had a great bearing on me as I was going through high school. And many of you know her, Mrs. Mary Jean Salters. And I'm very thankful that she was able to be here tonight, because she may be the only teacher that I had in my whole life that's still alive. So that's, I don't know, but that could be true. But Mary Jean is very much alive, and she's been a great, great friend of mine, and has helped me through a lot of good, hard times and good times. We have served on the foundation board at Pearl River together a few years ago. I'm still active on the board, and plan to stay that way as long as I can get one foot ahead of the other one, and unless Ernie tells me he's had enough of me and sends me home. But that's kind of get the ball rolling there. Now, Dr. Brearwood told me mostly about what happened to me, and as far as my career from the time I entered Pearl River and on through there till I retired in 1998. And I think it kind of made everybody think that I only had one job in my whole life. But that's not quite true. I guess I had one major job, and that was the one with Shell Oil Company. But as I said, came from a family of 7. I'm the oldest. They're all still living, thank God. And my first job, my father was a sharecropper. And around the age 11, I guess, I thought I was big enough to plow a mule. So my father let me plow a mule a little bit. And that was kind of my first job. Well, after that, my father moved to, this was out in the country, out from Prentice. And then he moved to just almost in Prentice on a poultry farm. So I had me a chance to have a second job, and that was shoveling chicken. Well, let me straighten that. I was shoveling chicken manure, and I got paid 30 cents an hour to do that. And after 1 year of that, I said, you know, there's got to be a better way. So time went on, and from there, I was able to get me a job as a car hop at the little Barbecue Inn in Prentice. Some of y'all may have heard of it or know of it. They paid us, I wasn't the only one at car hop there, but I had a job there. They paid us, the restaurant paid us $1 a night, and that was from about, after we got out of school, somewhere around 4 or 5 o'clock, we had to show up for work. And we stayed there till like 10:30 on the weeknights. Now, if it was a Saturday night, we stayed there till midnight. Of course, we could get, they'd let us keep our tips, what little tips we got. So, man, if we got $1 in tips, we're doing pretty good. So that went on, and doing the car hopping work, you get to know all of the teenagers and all that's a little older than you. See, I was like 13, 14 years old. But I got to know all these boys and girls that was 17 and 18 years old, and how they were all going steady and all that kind of stuff. Every once in a while, one of these boys would show up with a girl that he wasn't supposed to be with. And he said, man, I'll give you $1 if you won't say nothing about this. So that gave me a chance to make a little extra money. So then from that, though, as time went on, I graduated from the car hopping, and I started working at a service station. And I worked there for, I guess, probably 3 or 4 years on the weekends when I was in high school. And then the first summer after my first year at Pearl River, I come back to Prentice and worked at the service station. And one of my good friends that really had a great bearing on me going to college, because as Dr. Brearwood has said, I really didn't think I was going to be able to go, because coming from a family of 7, there wasn't any help to be had in the family. So this friend of mine worked at the service station too, and the way I got the job at the service station was the guy that was working there, he quit. So my friend went to the boss and said, hey, I want you to hire Francis. And he said, well, okay, I got to have somebody. The guy that quit, his name was Willie. Well, the boss never could think of my name when he wanted me. So he just hollered, hey, Willie. And my friend, he went to Pearl River. We actually went together. So he got started calling me Willie. Well, believe it or not, the whole 3 years that I was at Pearl River, everybody knew me as Willie. That picked up, and it took me a long time to outgrow that Willie. Because, in fact, some of them, it was my classmates down there, till this day, if they see me, will call me Willie instead of Francis. But that makes for some good days, you know. You just do all you can and try to do it right. And as my brother James has said, you know, if we do things right, God will take care of us. And God has blessed me beyond my greatest imagination. And in closing, I have one other thing I'd like to say to all of you. As I have mentioned already, I do still continue to serve on the foundation board. And as you know, the foundation board is basically the fundraising arm of Pearl River Community College. And we are struggling, as Dr. Lewis has already mentioned, to come up with enough funds to try to help some of the people that really need the funds. So I would say to you, if any of you can afford to endow scholarship so that some student might have this opportunity, I would highly recommend it because you'll receive a blessing from it beyond your greatest imagination. And the Lord will bless you for it too. Thank you.
Mr. Howell Purvis.
Mr. Purvis's career in the military and U.S. Secret Service started when he and a fellow student encountered two Navy officers in the bookstore grill at Pearl River Junior College in 1955. Quote, "They called us over and presented us an offer we couldn't resist, a free trip to New Orleans to take the Navy flight training physical and examination. This one encounter changed the whole direction for my life. Purvis passed the test and left
Behind his college days, studying pre-med, playing the trumpet in the band, and singing in the choir. After receiving his aviator wings in April of 1956, he flew helicopters off carriers, oilers, tank landing ships, and icebreakers. He received a medal from Uruguay after taking part in a major flood relief effort. During the flood in Uruguay, he flew to a city 100 miles inland, rescued 31 people in 10 days, delivered water, food, and other supplies. He also flew in explosives used to blast a diversion channel to relieve pressure on a dam. He left the Navy in December of 1959 and married Mary Ann Palmer, Miss PRCC and Homecoming Queen in 1956 and 1957. Nicely done, sir. Purvis enrolled at then Mississippi Southern College, earned his degree in 1961, and returned to the Navy for a second hitch. He flew helicopters and fixed wing aircraft and received the Navy Commendation Medal for service in Vietnam. In January of 1968, Purvis joined the U.S. Secret Service. His 20-year career as a special agent included duty at the White House, protection for presidential candidates, and a 2.5-year stint at Lyndon B. Johnson's ranch following his presidency. He retired in 1988 after a year in Oxford, where he was responsible for Secret Service operations in 26 counties. Purvis also worked as security director at a hospital in Oxford before returning to his hometown of Purvis and serving for 2 years as an investigator with the District Attorney's Office. He was also a safety director for Deep South Trucking in Purvis and had fun driving a tour bus for 13 years. He continues to play trumpet in his church orchestra and at a nursing home. He has played taps at 326 military funerals as a member of the VFW Post 3036 Honor Guard. He and his wife, Mary Ann Lynn, live in Purvis. They have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Howell Purvis.
Hi, my name is Gage Butler, and I'm here on behalf of the Pearl River Community College Honors Program. I'm here today to interview Mr. Howell Purvis, the Lifetime Hall of Fame Achievement inductee of 2014. Thank you, Mr. Purvis, for your time. By coming down here, let me talk to you.
You're very welcome.
All right. To start us off, can you tell me a little bit about your time here at PRCC?
Sure. I finished high school in Purvis, and I knew for a couple of years that I was coming to Pearl River. I played trumpet in the band in high school, and I came here on a scholarship. And you know, a semester at Pearl River was $60.
Oh, really?
That was a lot of money, it seemed like. And so I was really on a half of a scholarship, so I got $30 coming to Pearl River. And immediately, I met so many people that from other schools that had different backgrounds, of course, and it was like one big family here. The students were all very nice and, you know, good to you. And I made so many friends here that I still have to this day. And Pearl River was an unusual place because the professors here were outstanding. And I know I can mention a few, Ms. Webb, Ms. Fournay, Dr. Tiernan, Mr. McDonald, and there were so many others that were so excellent in teaching. And so the background that I got here for my future career paid big dividends. And I'll always be grateful for those people and what they did. You know, some friends of mine went on to become doctors and lawyers and that sort of thing, you know. I was able to meet a couple of Navy recruiters, and I ended up going to flight school in Pensacola. And so the opportunities that I had here at Pearl River really helped me, especially math, when I got into the flight training program down there. The band, you know, was more fun than you can imagine. We went to a lot of the football games on an old bus that the school had back then. We didn't have the modern equipment and luxury that some of the students have today, I think, down here. But Pearl River was a great, great place to go to school. It was a wonderful environment. There was about 350 students here at that time. And you got to know everyone by their first names. And it was just outstanding.
Well, it's grown a little since then, but
yes, it has.
Speaking of your careers and all your friends going off, tell me a little bit about your career, what you went off and did. You said you joined the Navy. After that, after you left PRCC and graduated.
Well, I mentioned before that I met two recruiters. I was in the old grill and the bookstore with my brother-in-law now. His name was Jerry Palmer, and I were in the bookstore, and these two recruiters called us over. And of course, we didn't want to talk to them. And so they persuaded us to come over, and they presented their flight training program in Pensacola, and it sounded intriguing. And so they gave us a ticket to New Orleans on a bus, free round trip ticket to New Orleans. Well, that's what did it, you know. We were ready to go to New Orleans. And so we went down and we took all of the examinations and the flight physical and all of that, and we passed everything. And so in November of that year, we both went to Pensacola and started in flight training. I ended up, you know, as a naval aviator, and he did too, and he made a career out of it, and I spent 10 years in the Navy. And so what I learned here at Pearl River was very, very beneficial in what I did in the Navy. And then after 10 years, I came back home, and I applied for a position with the U.S. Secret Service. It took 6 months to do the background, and I got out of the Navy in June of '67, and I entered the Secret Service School in January of 1968. But in between all of that, I went back to Southern and got my degree. So, you know, I'm thankful every day for the opportunities I had here at Pearl River.
Right. Okay. That's very nice. So what does community college mean to you? Do you think that junior colleges are important, or do you believe that they've kind of evolved out?
Well, I really believe that Mississippi is so far ahead of some of the states in our country because of the junior college system that we have. I think there's like 16 colleges now across the state. And, you know, it's like a stepping stone from high school to come to a junior college rather than going into a senior college and getting lost in the crowd.
Oh, yes, sir.
Junior colleges are smaller, and you have an opportunity to spend more time with your professors and other students to study. And I just don't see a better system anywhere in the country than what we have right here in Mississippi for kids out of high school to go to school. And I worked for the Development Foundation here for 11 years, and we have given out many, many scholarships to kids that right out of high school, you know, that come to Pearl River and do very well.
All right. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I thank you for your time, and I think I can speak for everyone at Pearl River Community College in thanking you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Ernie? Where's Ernie? You only gave me 3 minutes. I knew when James Ginn got up here, he'd take an hour, you know. But I'm proud to be here because 4 years ago, I almost didn't make it. But with the Lord's help and answered prayer, He pulled me through, and I'm so grateful. I don't know if I can do this or not. It's such an honor for me to be here. And for this great honor is just more than I can stand. I mean, it's just overwhelming. I want to thank my family, my wife, my children. I have 3 here tonight. Craig, Stan, Joni, and Susan, and Joni's husband, Bill, and Stephen, Tice, and Victoria, and my beautiful wife, Mary Ann. Mary Ann was Miss Pearl River Junior College and homecoming queen. That's pretty good, isn't it? She is also the first Miss Lamar County and was in the beauty contest, Mississippi contest with Mary Ann Mobley. So, you know what? I looked her over and I said, she's the one I want. Not only was she pretty, she was very, very sweet. And she's the love of my life, I can tell you that, for 54 years. They mentioned that I had 10 grandkids and 6 great-grandkids. And after we had our 4 children, we got our TV fixed, you know. We thought it was about time. You know, I thought if the other guys could be funny, I could too, you know. But it was an old black and white TV anyway. And my son-in-law, Bill, and Joni, they had 5 kids. And we were playing golf one day, and I introduced him to a man that we were playing with, and I told him this was my son-in-law, and he had 5 of my grandchildren. I said he got his TV fixed after that. And Bill said, yeah, we got both of them fixed, I tell you. But I grew up on a farm in Purvis. It was 30 acres, and my dad finished the 3rd grade. My mother had about 1.5 years of college, and she taught school. And she encouraged all of us to go to college. But my dad did too. And so my older brother and my younger brother finished at LSU in forestry, and I finished at USM. We were the first 2 in either side of our family to get a degree. So we were grateful to our parents for that encouragement. I finished high school at Purvis, played in the band, and I got a scholarship to Pearl River. I mean, it was a big scholarship too, $60 a semester. You know, back then, that was a pretty good amount of money, wasn't it, Donnie? Huh? You remember that? You got a football scholarship. Anyway, you know, I'd just like to ask you this question. How does a small college in a small town like Pearl River prepare a student for a future and a career? Well, the way that's done, they teach you service to others, integrity, living out your values and what you claim to be, perseverance, work ethic, faith, humility, friendship. These values are not only taught but they're seen as being lived out by the staff at Pearl River. I remember all those professors. They set a tremendous example for all of us. There's Dr. Grant, Dr. Tiernan. There was Mr. McDonald, Prof. Seals, Ms. Webb, Ms. McSwain, Ms. Fournay. And I could go on and on and on, all really outstanding teachers, professors. It was not necessarily the math, the English, the chemistry, the science that made all these values possible. I chose a path less traveled, and it has made all of the difference in the world for me. I certainly benefited from those things as a naval aviator for 10 years and as a special agent for 10 years. There's very few people around here that can say that they protected 5 presidents, and I had that distinct privilege and honor to be able to say that. My career in the Navy started in November of 1955 when I entered flight training in Pensacola. It was 18 months of pure hell. If you've seen the movie, what was it? It was something and a gentleman, officer and a gentleman. That's what I was. I was an officer. After I received my wings and commission, I wanted to fly jets, but for some reason, all of a sudden, they recruited me and sent me to helicopter school, which turned out to be pretty good. I enjoyed that. I got out of the Navy again in 1959 and married Mary Ann. Went back to Southern, got my degree, and like an idiot, I went back in the Navy again for 6 more years. And during that time, I spent 16 months in Vietnam. We planned and conducted amphibious operations. In 16 months, we conducted 14 amphibious landings. That's a record, I think, that hasn't been broken since. And if you know anything about amphibious landings, they're very complicated. Because of all of the things that Pearl River did for me, there exists a personal feeling of gratitude and indeed a debt of loyalty toward PRC that can never be fully repaid. When you boil it down and give serious thought, it's a little frightening to wonder what your life might have been had there not been a PRC. That's my lucky story, and I'm sticking with it. The honor being bestowed on me tonight is indeed the greatest of all my achievements. And I thank the selection committee and all of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Mr. Donald M. Waits. A football scholarship brought Donnie Waits from Hattiesburg to Pearl River, where he was the starting right end on the 1954 and 1955 football teams. My 2 years there were about the best years of my life, he said. It was the first permanent venture away from home. I was in a position to do just about anything I wanted to do. While at Pearl River, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps officer training program called the Platoon's Leaders Class. This college gave me a good start in life. The people were down to earth and fun-loving, but at the same time serious about going to school. He transferred to then Mississippi Southern College, where he was a 2-year letterman in football, maintained a Dean's List grade point average, and earned a degree in 1958. Waits was commissioned a second lieutenant and ordered to the Marine Corps in school in Quantico, Virginia. While there, he played end on the football team. He completed his active duty in North Carolina and transferred to the Marine Corps Reserve in 1961. He served in the New Orleans and Gulfport areas until 1996, when he retired as a lieutenant colonel. He had attended Tulane Law School on an academic scholarship and spent approximately 40 years as an attorney in South Mississippi. During that time, he served more than 12 years as a prosecuting attorney in Stone County. He retired from practicing law in January 2001 as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi. Waits is president of the PRCC Wildcat Club and a member of the Alumni Association. He has 2 grown children and lives in Gulfport with his wife, Joan. Ladies and gentlemen, our final inductee of the evening, Mr. Donnie Waits.
Hi, my name is Ashley Calcode, and I'm from Pearl River Community College Honors College. I'm here with Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Donnie Waits. Thank you so much for coming here today and talking to us about your time. So why don't we start off with you telling us about your time here at Pearl River.
I was a student at Hattiesburg High School, Hattiesburg being in what was then considered people going to Pearl River ordinarily would come from Hattiesburg, and particularly your athletes.
Right.
And I was a football player at Hattiesburg High School, and I was offered an opportunity to come to Pearl River, then junior college, it's now community college, on a football scholarship. I came to Pearl River, and while here, I made contacts that caused me, once I graduated from college and got married, I went into the Marine Corps. But how did that occur? It occurred at Pearl River Junior College. A group of recruiters, Marine Corps recruiters, came through looking for people to volunteer to go through Marine training and become young officers. It was called a certain type of a platoon leaders class, wherein you go and do that, which would put you in, you go first to spend 2 6-week summer camps during the summer at a Marine base, mostly Quantico, Virginia, which is where they send young officer prospects. And then once you finish school, you're immediately inducted into the Marine Corps and go back to Quantico for intensified infantry training, whatever that was, and as a second lieutenant. I went through this process and went to Quantico 2 summers, and as I graduated from college, and the Marine, I graduated from university, what is now University of Southern Mississippi, and it was Mississippi Southern College at that particular time. And we had my recruiters came up the night I graduated from USM. I had on my dress whites, and the officer that came up from New Orleans recruiting station, and he pinned my second lieutenant bars on one shoulder, and my fiance at that time pinned my one on the other side. And I went from there to Quantico for about 6 or 7 or 8 months at that time. And as a matter of fact, I believe Ike Eisenhower was the president. And I went to Quantico, and then I was transferred. I finished the schooling in Quantico, and I was transferred to Camp Lejeune, where I spent the next 2.5 years as a second lieutenant after 18 months, and then a first lieutenant. And I was released from active duty in the Marine Corps in 1961, I believe it was. And I came out and had no place to go. I had been here on an athletic scholarship. I went to USM on an athletic scholarship, and I majored not on something having to do with athletics, but I majored in accounting. Started off, even had a class or 2 under Ms. Holden, who taught at that time, Coach Holden's wife, widow now. through the help of God, I was given an academic scholarship to Tulane Law School.
Oh, wow.
Which was where I went to law school, spent 3 years in New Orleans, living in the slums of New Orleans, so to speak. And when I finished, I took the bar exam in April of '64, I guess it was, and passed the bar exam. And I had a job offer from an attorney in Wiggins. And I went to work for him and worked there for, I guess, almost 20 years, at which time, during that time, I became the Stone County prosecuting attorney, which was an elective office, and I stayed in that position, I guess, I had just started my 4th term when along came somebody, George Phillips was the United States attorney at that time, been a friend of mine. He offered me a job as an assistant United States attorney working out of Biloxi, and there I go. I retired after my next 15 to 20 years with the United States Attorney's Office. I retired from that, and now I am happily retired, living off of all of my retirement pays comfortably, and hopefully no one in the federal employment will destroy what I have until after I'm finished with it, and that would be upon death.
Right, well, it sounds like you definitely deserve it.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about your career, we've talked about your time at Pearl River. What do you think you can, what are the causes for your accomplishment? What
do they call me?
Oh, no, what do you think are the causes for your accomplishments? What has helped you get to that point?
I think at an earlier age, for some reason, I recognized that if I was ever going to go anywhere in life, I was going to have a strong background in education in the area that I wanted to go into.
Mm-hmm.
And I directed myself not as a PE major, but as a accounting major, starting there. And then after I had been out of law school, actually I worked about a year for Texaco in New Orleans as an accountant, and I made application for and was given a scholarship to Tulane. So I had gone to school on an athletic scholarship at Pearl River, athletic scholarship at USM when I finished at Pearl River, and an academic scholarship to Tulane Law School. And I had fairly good grade point average in all 3 schools.
Great, so education is the key, definitely.
What?
So education is the key.
I do. I think having a good education and working toward bettering that education is a prime factor. And, well, you may call it an awareness of the need to know how you are and how to work your own abilities.
Right. So what kind of advice would you give a high school senior who is preparing for college and a career? And what kinds of, what does a community college or a junior college like Pearl River have to offer for them?
Okay, hold on to that last thought. I think I had, at one point in time, growing up in Hattiesburg, I played a lot of golf. And I had a neighbor down the street, and I was trying to think of his name last night, who was several years ahead of me, and he had been in Hattiesburg and had gone to USM, and he told me one time, he said, I wouldn't be where I am, and I don't know where he was. if I had not studied hard. And he fed me with the thought that, well, to succeed, I'm going to have to study hard. And I started into college with that attitude, and if y'all have my grade point average here, I don't know why. I can't remember what it was, but I can tell you that I made, as a jock going to college, I made pretty good grades.
Right.
And I think that's very important. Now, what was the second thing?
What do community colleges or junior colleges like Pearl River have to offer for students?
I am pleased with everything that I've ever had to do with Pearl River Junior College, except one night up at Jones County, we were getting the dog beat out. The dog beat out of us, and Coach Holden, I sassed him during the halftime, and he put me on the bench and kicked me off the team.
Oh, no.
But it was my fault, you know.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that's about it. Well, thank you so much for your time and sitting down with us. Congratulations.
Have I answered all the questions?
Yes.
Okay.
So congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame, class of 2014. And again, thank you.
Thank you. 2 to 3 minutes was what I understood these were going to be. I can actually talk longer than that, but everybody's been sitting here for a long, long time. I want to introduce you to my wife. She's waving at me. Would you please stand? She's the one that okay. Oh, wrong place. Thank you. Joan is my wife. She is kin to everyone in eastern Harrison County and all the people of Hancock County. She has a maiden name of Beningo. One of her maiden names. She actually was. He's got Gulfport too. That's where we're living. But as a young person working for Hancock Bank and Leo Seals, she wound up being Miss Hospitality for Gulfport. And they went up to the Jackson to run off the who was going to be Miss Hospitality of the state of Mississippi. And they kicked her out of the contest, and she claims it was because she was too short. Hand up, stand up, John. Look. Okay. I have some Dobie things I could tell Carol, and I'm going to try to put that in writing. Coach Holden, I think, has affected just about everyone in this room, and he was one of the finest people I have ever known. And they built a golf course in Picayune, and a golf course out here between Poplarville and not Slidell, Bogalusa, thank you. And Dobie started playing golf, and Garvin Johnston was the president of the college at the time, and Dobie was quoted by somebody about talking about his golf career. He said, somebody asked him how he was doing. He says, I don't know as long as I beat Garvin. But I could tell a handful of Dobie stories. I just want to tell you that I truly, I'm not going to speak much longer. I truly appreciate this honor that is being bestowed on me as well as the other inductees tonight. I guess I can't think of another word for us. But I have never had such an award of any kind in my life, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate my wife for coming up here with me tonight and facing this. Thank you.
Folks, thank you so much tonight. We are so proud of these 6 inductees and for the words we've heard tonight. And it just does your heart good to know that they came through Pearl River and they were part of the story and they're part of the history of a great institution that we're all so proud of. And I appreciate you being here and supporting them, and look forward to next year. And thank you all, and God bless you this weekend. Thank you and good night.